In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at some of the players I think are the best candidates to really be a breakthrough player in the upcoming 25-26 NHL season. So these are players that are already in the league in some capacity, are already drafted, and I expect to take a big leap forward with their production and their play. We'll talk about one from every single team coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, today we're taking a look at some breakout players for the upcoming 25-26 regular season for the NHL. So as I mentioned, a breakout player is somebody who I really expect to kind of really see a big surge in their production. Many of these cases are going to be youngerish players, some of which have already seen the NHL and some of which have already kind of had a taste for it and are really ready for that next step. Now, there you might see a few names that are even going to be new to the NHL, but I think will have a big impact immediately upon stepping on the ice for the very first time. So we'll go through each of the 32 teams. We're going to do this one in alphabetical order. Start with Anaheim, work our way all the way down to Winnipeg, and we'll talk about a player from each team. I don't want to spend too much time on each player because I don't want this video to get too ridiculously long, but we'll give a quick explanation as to why I picked a player. Starting with the Anaheim Ducks, I'm going with Leo Carlsson. I think Leo Carlsson is most likely going to finally get a chance to play a consistent number one center spot. I know according to comments from Pat Verbeek, right now at least he's expecting Carlsson and McTavish to be the top two centers. McTavish right now was unsigned. I didn't go with McTavish for this particular selection. I'm worried about that contract right now, and if that does drag on to a scenario where he misses any time in camp or anything, then that's going to probably impact his ability here. But I think Carlson's ready for the prime time here. I think he's going to, with all the changes the Ducks have made, have some really good wingers, and I think he's going to really break through and have a really big surge in his production. Next up for the Boston Bruins, I'm going with young defenseman Mason Lohrei. I think Lohrei is still only scratching the surface of what he's capable of at the NHL level, and Boston's still in a predicament that they can probably still play him in fairly sheltered minutes. I mean, obviously they've got guys like McAvoy and Lindholm and Zadorov, playing ahead of him, so he's able to still get a lot of preferential spots for his minutes to play. Doesn't have to necessarily see the top players all the time, and I think he's really a player from an offensive standpoint who should expect to see a lot more. I think over time he'll work his way up and eventually has potential to be the top one or two offensive D-man on that team for sure. With the Buffalo Sabres up next, I'm selecting young forward Jack Quinn. Quinn was a player that we wondered what the future held for him after needing a new contract, and the last couple of years for Quinn has been kind of an up and down. He's been good at times, he's been hurt at times, a little bit inconsistent at times, but I think with the new contract that Quinn has, it's obviously not a long-term deal. It's still another kind of reprove yourself type of contracts, and of all the players in Buffalo that I think are ready for a big step forward, I think Quinn is the guy. I think with a lot of consistency in his game, some consistent line mates, I think we could see Quinn, probably hit, I'm going to say, as much as 25 or more goals this year. The Calgary Flames breakout player, I'm going with Joel Farabee. I mean, in all honesty, I know Farabee might be a little bit older than a lot of these other selections, but Farabee's a player that I really think needed a little bit of time to get comfortable in Calgary. We saw Morgan Frost, I think, get more comfortable more quickly there in Calgary than Farabee did upon that trade for the two of them going there. But I really think that we're going to see Farabee find his game and really break through, get back to what we saw early on with Philadelphia before things kind of got stagnant there. But I really think Farabee is going to break out and be a big help to the Flames this year. Carolina Hurricanes are up next, and I'm taking Jackson Blake, who just signed a big deal, 8-year contract, doesn't have a lot of experience, only has one full season, but he got a long-term contract, and this team really believes in him, and I think this year he's going to show us why that is. He played pretty consistently in the top 6 last year, saw some power play time. I think that is only going to continue to help build his confidence, and after getting this long-term contract, getting that weight off his shoulders, getting established in the NHL, I think there's a real possibility he could. I think I wouldn't be shocked if he comes close to doubling his point totals and gets up around 60-plus points this year. Next up, we have the Chicago Blackhawks, and this one was easy for me. I think this is going to be the year that Connor Bedard explodes on the offensive side of the game and really takes off. In all honesty, I know some people give him a hard time. I really don't think his first 2 years in the NHL have been bad at all. They've been pretty good, and you got to remember, he's still very, very young, and the team has been very, very bad. But this is a player who's extremely dedicated, works harder than just about anybody. We've seen a lot of clips this summer. He's really putting into work and really dialed into improving his game and taking it up another level. It's an Olympic year. He got an invite to the Canada orientation camp at the end of August. I think that's going to give him the extra motivation, like he needed it, really, because he's a super motivated kid to begin with. And I think we're going to really see Bedard's production really take a huge step forward this coming year. I'm not sure how high he can take it because of the quality of teammates that's still around him, but I can see all of his totals and production going up significantly this year. Next up, we have the Colorado Avalanche, and this is one I struggled with. When it comes to looking at players that could break out or bounce back or any of these type of categories we kind of look at in the offseason, the Avalanche were a difficult team in both of those scenarios. I've selected Ivan. He played 40 games last year, had 5 goals. The Avalanche just don't have a lot of players that really can break out. Most of them have already done so. I mean, you've got McKinnon, you've got Landeskog coming back, you've got Natchez, you've got lots of other players there, Cale Makar, Devon Taves, that have already broken out. Even looking at their other supporting cast, I don't know that they're really going to break out beyond what they've already done. But Ivan's a young player who's hoping for a bigger role, more opportunity this year, and is one of the few players on that team that could actually fit that bill. Next up, we have the Columbus Blue Jackets, and I've selected, to be honest, before I say my selection, there's a lot of guys that broke out last year, so this one was tough too, because I got to pick a player that I think can break out further and take his game up another level. So I went with Kent Johnson. To be honest, a lot of guys really showed their stuff last year, and Fantilli had a big year, Voronkov had a big year, Johnson improved, but I think Johnson's the player that I still think. I think Fantilli can take it up another level too, but I think it's a bigger possibility that we're going to see a bigger spike in Johnson's production. So that's why I've selected him. Highly skilled forward, only going to continue to get better here as he gets more experience. Next up, we have the Dallas Stars. I've selected Maverick Bourque, of course, another young player. Dallas with a very, veteran-laden team here. They've got a few younger players, yes, that have already broken out, like Wyatt Johnson, Jason Robertson. So who could be the next guy? They traded Stan Coven, of course, in the Rantanen deal. I think Bourque is that guy who's looking for that opportunity and could fit the description that we're looking at here. Young player looking for bigger production, more regular spot in the lineup. So I've selected him here for Dallas. Detroit, I've selected Marco Kasper, and he already started the breakout process last year. He's going to take it a step further this year. Marco Kasper is turning out to be a heck of a player for Detroit. To me, I think long-term, he's really a really solid, prototypical number 2 center who can play at both ends of the ice. And I think he's really going to help take the pressure off of Dylan Larkin and allow this team to get better in that aspect of things. Kasper is only going to continue to get better, and I think we're going to see his production take a good boost this year. Next up, we've got the Edmonton Oilers. It's kind of a toss-up to me between Ike Howard and Matt Savoy, but I'm going to go with Savoy here because he's just he's got a little bit more pro experience right now. Obviously had a really good year in the American Hockey League, where Howard's been in the NCAA, and you know what? They both have a ton of potential. Savoy was drafted higher. He's got more pro experience, so I'm leaning towards Matt Savoy to come in, and I think the Oilers are really hoping they can count on him for a consistent top 6 role, and I really do think the odds of him delivering that are pretty good. Florida Panthers, Stanley Cup champions. I've gone with Mackie Samoskevich. Again, another player on a team that's pretty deep. Lots of veterans. Not a lot of guys there really going to take their game up another level. But I think Samoskevich is a guy that can do that. He had 15 goals last year. There's going to probably be a hole in the lineup with Matthew Tkachuk, probably starting the year in injured reserve. So I think Samoskevich will have an opportunity to get in the lineup more and get a bigger role. And I think we'll see his production reflect that. Next up, the Los Angeles Kings. I've selected young right shot defenseman Brant Clark. I think between Clark and Jordan Spence, they struggled last year getting both of them in the lineup. So they've moved Jordan Spence to Ottawa. That's going to open the door for Clark to be a regular, everyday player. He's very gifted offensively. I know Clark played a lot last year too, obviously, but I think his role could certainly increase for sure. Now, of course, we could see how things go because we know the Kings added a couple more older veteran guys like Dumoulin and Ceci, but I think over time, Clark's going to prove his worth here and really expand his game this coming year. Next up, we got the Minnesota Wild, and I'm selecting a player who's barely seen NHL ice, but I think he's going to be a big part of it this year, is Zeev Buium. Buium is a heck of a defenseman, multiple-time national champion in college. He just wins everywhere as he goes, and he did get a small taste of the NHL this past year, but I think he'll be his first full season, and I think he'll really break out for Minnesota and show why he was drafted where he was and why this was a really good choice on their part. The Montreal Canadiens are up next. This one was also easy. A player who signed late last year, got a few games in, but was absolutely electric and will continue to really impress the fans and will break out this year, and that's Ivan Demidov. Demidov will be a very interesting player to watch. I expect him to be in the Calder Trophy conversation. My only hope for Demidov is that the fans don't set the expectations too high. I mean, we saw that first game where he did some incredible things, got his first goal and assist. The fans were just going nuts for it, which is, really, he came in with a lot of hype, and he's kind of viewed upon as being a huge part of the future, so I understand why. But it's not something you're going to see night in and night out. Obviously, when it came to their playoff series and whatnot, it was a little bit quieter, still adjusting, but I think he will take that experience and really apply it to what we see next year. So I do expect Demidov to be a huge piece of the Montreal Canadiens' success next year. Next up, we get the Nashville Predators. I've selected Luke Evangelista, another player who's had a taste of it, has had some success, but I think is one of the few players on that Nashville team who can really elevate their game. There's a bunch of candidates on that team you could label as a bounce-back candidate, which we'll talk about in another video. But for right now, I think Evangelista is one of the few players in the Preds organization that really can expect to take his game up a big level this year. Next up, we have the New Jersey Devils. This one was a tough one as well. I went with Seamus Casey. I got a funny feeling we're going to see Seamus Casey work his way into that lineup. I do wonder, I think he can outplay Nemec. Those two young defensemen are interesting to me. I don't know how long of a future they both have with this team because they have a deep blue line. Will the Devils make moves to find ways to get them both into there regularly? I mean, I don't know, but I think Seamus Casey is just going to have a sneaky good season and really show that he deserves to be a regular NHL defenseman this year. So I think he's going to be one of the players I want to keep my eye on for sure. Next up are the New York Islanders. And to me, again, this was easy because I'm pretty comfortable right now that Matthew Schaefer will, at the very least, start the year in the NHL, and I think it's probably what's best. I think he probably plays the whole year in the NHL, maybe with a loan at Christmas time to the World Junior team in Canada to go to the World Junior tournament. But I suspect Schaefer to be in the NHL this year. And for the New York Islanders, I think he is going to be obviously a very impactful player right away. Really smart, has good size. There's just so much about his game that are just so much to like. So I really think Schaefer is going to be a heck of a player and will be impactful immediately. So he's going to be real fun to watch. Next up, we have the New York Rangers. And with this team, I've selected Will Cooley. You could argue that he kind of broke out a bit last year, and I think he's going to continue to take that game up to another level. If you look at the Rangers, obviously they've moved on from some of their younger players like Kakko, for example, Zach Jones, Keandre Miller. But they've got some that stuck around like Cooley and Lafreniere, and I think Will Cooley's got a ton of potential to take his game up another level. So we'll see where it goes this year. Next up, we've got the Ottawa Senators. For a breakout player, I'm selecting Fabian Zetterlund. I think Zetterlund was a low-key, under-the-radar deadline acquisition by the Sens. He's had some success before, but he's going to get a prime opportunity, I suspect, to play on a top line with Tkachuk and Stützle. We'll see what Claude Giroux does in training camp. Even if he doesn't play with those two, he'll have a shot at the very least to play with Cousins and Batherson. He's going to be given every chance with the new contract he signed to play a top 6 role. And no matter which line you put him on, he's going to play with extremely talented playmaking type players, right? So I can see Zetterlund, even though his numbers were a little bit lower to start his tenure with the Senators, I think we could see him break out and at least be 20, 25 goals next year. I think Ridley Gregg's another low-key, under the radar kind of candidate for this as well. He signed a nice contract extension last year, started the breakout process, but I think his production has another level to it as well, which will be interesting to see where things go on that front. The Philadelphia Flyers are up next, and I'm going to select from that team Cam York, the young defenseman, has a new contract, new coach, which I think was hugely important for him, and I think will be one of the younger players on that team, kind of gaining more of a role and being a bigger part of that team under new head coach Rick Tocchet. So I think York's going to be due for a big year. Next up, we have the Pittsburgh Penguins, and I'm going to select young goalie that they acquired from Vancouver, Artur Shilovs. I think Shilovs is going to probably outduel both of the other Penguin goalies and become their starter. It may not be right away, but by the end of the year, I suspect he'll be in the starting job with the Pittsburgh Penguins and really showing that it was a smart pickup for that trade. Next up, we have the San Jose Sharks, and I've actually selected Macklin Celebrini here. Now, Celebrini had a great rookie year. Was right in the Calder conversation. Obviously, was right up in a lot of those top rookie candidates or categories last year. Phenomenal season for Celebrini. However, all that being said, I don't think that he's anywhere near his ceiling. So Macklin Celebrini to me is such a smart player. I think he can take his game. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him hit 80, 85 points next year. I think him and Bedard, like I said, are going to be the two real young, interesting players to see how high they can take their game next year. I do think there's a possibility long-term Celebrini might turn out to be the better player, at least the more complete player. We'll see where that goes, but I'm really excited to see what he can do this year. Next up, we have Seattle, the Kraken. I'm taking Shane Wright. I think Shane Wright is really started to break out last year and is going to continue that. I think he's finally found some confidence and got more experience to kind of play catch-up in the developmental stage. And I think Wright is going to get an opportunity now in Seattle to have a bigger role, and we're going to see that production continue. Wouldn't be surprised to see him hit at least 50, 60 points next year, maybe more. St. Louis, I'm going with Jimmy Snuggerud. I think Snuggerud is a terrific scoring winger, which I think his emergence is a big part of the reason why they even thought about trading Jordan Kyrou. Lots of rumors around that player, and I think the fact that Snuggerud is there ready to take that spot, or at least he's close to it, is the reason they consider that. I can see Snuggerud potting at least 25 goals next year. Next up, we have the Tampa Bay Lightning, and I've selected for that one Connor Geekie. Again, another older veteran team with a lot of players that have already broken out. Obviously, look at what even like Hagel did last year was impressive. Big jump forward. I think Geekie is going to be maybe not to the same level as some of these other guys that I expect to really break out, but I think he can get to be a regular NHLer and become just a regular contributor, even if he only hits maybe 40 points. I don't know. I think that could be a good year for him. We'll see where things go. The Toronto Maple Leafs are up next. That one is going to be tough as well. I think we're going to see a player here when it comes to the Leafs as a breakout. I've gone with Steven Lorentz. Now, hometown kid, signed in Toronto last year. Now he gets rewarded with a 3-year contract. Now, if you look at a lot of their other players, there's a few other guys that I think you could be labeled as bounce back. I mean, I think we'd all like to see Matthews have a better year. You get some reclamation projects like Michelli and Dakota Joshua. You're kind of wondering what Max Domi's going to do. Nylander's always good. Tavares has been really good. So, who's really going to break out with that team? I don't know that we're going to see, Easton Cowan make that team and really take a big jump. So, I think we're going to see a bottom 6 forward like Lorentz just really solidify his game, improve his point totals. It's not going to be as nearly as flashy as a lot of these other players, but I think for him will be one of the bigger jumps forward than compared to his teammates. But I think a lot of his teammates need to be in that bounce back category for that team to be successful this year. The Utah Mammoth are up next. I've selected Sean Durzi. Again, a lot of players on this team really broke out last year, and I think will continue to do so. I mean, guys like Keller and Gunter, and obviously they got Logan Cooley, and they picked up Peterka. It's going to be a dangerous team. But Durzi really, I think, to me, because of the injury and the time missed last year, I think will really solidify that spot this year and really take his game up on a bigger level that will be more noticeable. Next up, we have the Vancouver Canucks. I've selected Linus Karlsson here. I think Linus Karlsson is going to be a surprise player for Vancouver, get a bigger role than many expect, and certainly put up maybe not a ton of points, but just the fact that he's going to be as valuable to them as he turns out to be, I think will be a good surprise addition for you for that club. The Vegas Golden Knights are next. This one was really tough as well. I do know that they're going to be without Alex Pietrangelo, and that, depending on what they do for trades or not, could open a door for a young player like Lucas Cormier. Cormier is a player I've seen play a lot in junior. Of course, he's from my neck of the woods here in New Brunswick. Played in Charlottetown during his junior hockey. You get to see him play a lot when he came to the province here. Obviously, Charlottetown's not far from me, but whenever they play like the Sea Dogs in St. John or the Wildcats in Moncton, I've seen him play, more than a lot of players in his draft class. Really good, smooth skating offensive defenseman. Not super big by any means, but he's not really super small either. But I think he's put in his time with Vegas and is ready for more of an opportunity. And if he gets it, I can see him being a surprise player that really jumps out for them next year. Next up, we get the Washington Capitals, and I'm selecting former first-rounder, former team captain of USA, and World Junior winner Ryan Leonard. Leonard didn't do a lot during his end-of-season games with the Capitals last year after his college season ended. His first NHL goal, I believe, was an empty netter, but he outside of that didn't do a lot offensively. But that experience is going to be crucial for him coming into this year. He's a much better idea what to expect, and I think he'll be able to really be a breakthrough player and breakout for this Capitals team this year. Winnipeg is up next, last but not least, and we're going with Cole Perfetti. Cole Perfetti, to me, is going to be a really important player, especially with the departure of Nikolai Ehlers. His role is going to become more important, more magnified, and he needs to really step up his game. I mean, he had a good season last year, but he's got room to grow as well. I still see his ceiling not being anywhere near what he's shown us so far, and I think we're going to see him take a big step forward this year. So as I mentioned, this was just an exercise for fun and entertainment purposes. Let me know who you think are the best candidates to break out and really surprise and impress us amongst all these 32 teams. What players do you think are the most likely best fit in this category that you'll say broke out once the season comes to a close? Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments. We'll discuss further. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and stick around. We'll keep you up to date with all the news, rumors, and analysis of all 32 NHL teams. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time.